are aligned with your will. Grant us clarity of mind, creativity, and the ability to work together harmoniously for the common good. Help us listen with understanding and speak with kindness. May our endeavors be infused with your grace, leading us to positive outcomes that benefit not only ourselves, but also those who we serve. Thank you for the opportunity to come together and collaborate. We are grateful for your unwavering support and guidance in all that we do. May the work we do here today be a testament to your goodness and mercy. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So item on the agenda is the roll call. I call your name if you signify by saying aye. Tom Harrison.
Aye.
Tamikia White.
Aye.
Leslie Lambert.
Aye.
Ariel Palmer. She's absent today. Ernest Stovall Goolsby.
Aye.
And Al Ford.
Aye.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item is the approval of the agenda. I recommend the county items have been removed. The applicant has withdrawn their application. So I recommend make a motion to amend the agenda to remove items R2 and R3.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the agenda with the removal of R2 and R3, the removal of the county items.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the February 8th, 2024 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we approve the minutes of the February 8th, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is the rules of procedures for public hearings.
Each speaker must sign their name to the appropriate zoning case sheet and fill out a public comment card to register their intent to speak prior to the start of this meeting. Each item of business shall be handled in the order that it appears on the agenda unless upon motion of the Planning Commission the order is changed. A member of the city or county planning staff will present each item to the Conyers-Rockdale Planning Commission and will further provide a recommendation upon each item of business. The zoning applicant or the agent will state their name and address at the podium and will have 10 minutes in which to make his or her presentation. Any portion of their 10 minutes may be reserved for rebuttal following the opposition to the application. After the applicant's presentation, all registered speakers who wish to speak in favor of the application will then be heard. Prior to speaking upon the item, each registered speaker will state their name and address at the podium. They will also be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the applicant has made his or her presentation and the speakers in favor of the application have been heard, the secretary will then call upon the registered speakers in opposition to the application. The opposition shall likewise be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the public hearing portion is closed, no other speakers will be heard. As a reminder, speakers are to address the Planning Commission, not the applicant or the audience, and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers shall be permitted. After all public comments have been heard, the Planning Commission may elect to hold general discussion. The Planning Commission will vote upon a recommendation that will continue forward to the City of Conyers City Council or the Rockdale County Board of Commissioners public hearings.
Old business, none. New business, City of Conyers, item C1, case 2, 2024, ordinance 1352. Is a request for a text amendment to Chapter 5 signs to ensure compliance with constitutional protections. The applicant is City of Conyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Planning Commission members. I guess I need to get my PowerPoint set up, excuse me. While that goes, I'll just kind of briefly go over this text amendment is to update the definition sections to include what a residential structure is, so that the ordinance can reference residential structure. Furthermore, it specifies the sign permit application process and clarifies how appeals to any decisions on an assigned permit application, if someone wanted to appeal a decision, how that would play out and how the process to appeal that. Thank you, Chris.
Scott, as you're going through these, will you point somewhere in the chapter 5 where these 3 items are? I mean, I can read it, but it's hard to pinpoint where they are.
So in your applications or in your staff reports, it should look similar to this. Has a gray margin on the side, and that is a markup margin. So as you flip through the pages, you'll see some red font, and the red font indicates what's changed.
We don't have that.
We don't have those. We have the original one you sent.
It's this one.
Okay. Well, then if you look on page 6 of 25,
There we go.
the definition of residential structure, and it's also on the screen, means for the purpose of this chapter, any building or unit of building, structure, or accessory structure situated upon a residentially zoned parcel, or any building or unit of a building, structure, or accessory structure intended primarily for occupancy as a dwelling shall not include a hotel or motel. So that is on page 6. Page 7, where it states section 8-5-7, sign permit application. The change there is to add the language, applications for sign permits shall be submitted to the sign owner or their agent, and here's the new language, with written permission of the sign owner as reflected on the face of the sign permit application in the Office of the Department of Planning and Inspection Services. So previously, the sign permit application did not require a signature of the sign owner. Now, if this is adopted, it will require that. And then on page 8, under section 8-5-8, there is the most changes. That's permit approvals, denials, or revocations. So with that, that entire section, let's just say, is changed. On my sheet, it's all red. So that is the update. If you recall, last year, the city and the county both brought text amendments to the Planning Commission for what was known as House Bill 1405. 1405 changed the way that local governments had to advertise and had to offer appeals to decisions that were either administrative or through bodies that have legislative power. This body does not have legislative authority. The BOC does. In the city, it's the city council and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Those two bodies have the legislative authority. They make final decisions. This body just makes recommendations. What 1405 also did was say that appeals had to be filed in certain ways. What we failed to do last year is include that amendment with the signed ordinance, because the signed ordinance has its own specific appeal process. And now with this revision, updates this section of the signed ordinance with, comes into compliance with House Bill 1405, which was signed into law and took effect July 1st of 2023. So that is the only changes. There's no other changes in the signed ordinance that this text amendment would make. So.
Now, campaign signs are not in section 5, or chapter 5?
So signs are not regulated by content. The signs that you see that are allowed are called standard informational signs. Standard informational signs do not require permitting, but they're often what is used for campaigns. It's often used for, for sale signs. They can say many things, but they're regulated by material and height and size and placement.
So the word campaign does not appear in chapter 5
No, sir.
anywhere.
No, sir, because that would be content regulation. If we have to read it, we cannot regulate it.
Okay.
Obviously, staff recommends approval of the text amendment as proposed.
Any other questions? There being none, did you have some?
No.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, just for dexterity purposes,
Oh, there's nobody signed up.
yeah, we
Okay.
open and close the public hearing.
Right, okay. For the public hearing, there's nobody signed up to speak.
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
Okay, all right. The public hearing is now closed, and so we're now in discussion and or motion.
Hearing no discussion.
Hearing, no, yeah, I said, and/or motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of item C1, case 2, parentheses 2024, ordinance 1352, text amendment to Chapter 5, signs by the City of Conyers.
Motion to approve. Your second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item C2, it's a request for a text amendment to Section 8-17-15, Ordinance 1353, specific definitions. The applicant is City of Conyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this one's a little bit easier. So in our zoning ordinance, we identify a list of definitions. One of those definitions is residential districts. Now, when we talk about districts, we're talking zoning districts. Currently, the definition does not include the mixed-use district, mixed-use development district, MXD. We are proposing to amend that because the mixed-use district, it does intend for residential as part of it. So we are proposing to amend the definition of residential districts to include MXD. Are there any questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Scott had a question. The downtown district and the Gateway Village district, do they not allow residences in there? I thought assisted living and...
They do, but they're not strictly residential. If you remember, the downtown has 3 sub-districts, as does Gateway Village. So the Gateway Village has 3 sub-areas, as does the downtown district. So with that, the primary purpose is not residential in that.
Okay, and if you clarify the mixed development, that includes...
Yes, ma'am. Purpose of the mixed-use development district is to advocate for the creation and preservation of a district and visually harmonious community of choice that is compact, mixed-use, and pedestrian-friendly, and supports a pattern of urbanization that is stimulating, safe, ecologically sustainable. It is further the purpose of this district to introduce urban planning techniques that will repair and transform the autocentric patterns of suburbia that produce banal housing subdivisions, big box stores, and a proliferation of parking areas into a complete community that is sustainable and more than capable of accommodating a diversity of income levels, building types, modes of transportation, open space. To this end, and as expressed in the comprehensive land use plan, this district seeks to enable and encourage and implement land development patterns that will purposefully integrate dwellings with open space, offices, schools, stores, resulting in a manifestation of a district and visually harmonious community of choice that is wholesome, sustainable, and healthy. So the difference, because I know that's going to be your next question, is, well, didn't the downtown district and Gateway Village do that? They do, but within their own subcategories. So with, like Gateway Village, for example, the area for residential, let's take single-family detached, for example, is Gateway Village residential village sub-area. Same with downtown. So downtown zoning district contains downtown edge, which is intended for single-family, downtown center, which is considered for mixed uses and commercial uses like we have down in Old Town, and then downtown civic. Downtown civic's intended for those community interest locations such as the government complex, the churches, things like that. But if that is your so desire to include the downtown edge and Gateway Village residential village into that definition, I'm happy to make that as part of my recommendation to the city council.
Well, I was just thinking, since those were areas that were designated as residential, wouldn't they be included in that particular definition?
We can certainly add those, yes, ma'am.
You include MXD as a residential district, but it's not totally a resident, it's also a commercial district.
It's a mix, yes, sir.
Right,
You can
mix.
you can do it all within that one district.
So is a mixed-use district that allows commercial development a residential district?
Ask that question
Okay,
again.
okay. So you call it MXD a residential district? Okay,
It is,
correct?
yes, sir.
Okay. But is a district, it allows commercial use, correct? So is that a residential district? Because it's a commercial district too.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
So it's a district that allows for either primary commercial, it allows for a commercial with residential mix, or it allows a primary of residential. So for example, we have a residential subdivision being built at Eastmore. It's zoned MXD. Eventually, we hope that there's a requirement eventually of so many houses, they have to have a commercial component. But the majority and the primary use of that property and that development under MXD is residential.
So you would not ever classify MXD as a commercial district also?
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yes, sir. It's a district that fits all of that. Yes, sir. If that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the text would show that in most categories, commercial and
Yes, ma'am.
residential.
Absolutely.
Could it be termed like residential only districts and then leave out mix? Because wouldn't mix kind of be a little bit along the designated areas in downtown as well as Gateway Village?
I wouldn't want to identify it as residential only simply because within MXD you can do residential only with the MXD zoning district. You
Oh, I
don't
see.
have to do a mixed use. Yes, please, sir.
I know it's kind of confusing about the MXD, but when we created this district, we also set it up that certain commercial could not be on certain streets, local streets, but primarily commercial would be on arterial and major arterial. So primarily your single family will be on local streets. And when you get into the mixed use part where you have commercial on the first level, multifamily on the second level, they can be on arterial streets, collector streets, or major arterial. So it's the street classification that really separates the uses in that district, if that makes sense to you.
Thank you.
Marvin. And to build on Marvin's example, West Avenue, it's zone MXD. It's a collector. All the uses on West Avenue are commercial. Just 2 streets over, Bryant Street, or 3 streets over, you have Bryant Street. It is a residential street, but all those properties are zoned MXD as well. Someone cannot do a commercial use on Bryant Street because of that road classification that Mr. Flanagan was referring to.
So you wouldn't want to, in the definition, separate that out? There's no need to?
No, sir.
Right.
Because in the ordinance, and it's specific in the MXD ordinance where non-residential uses can be, what roads they can be on.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody signed up to speak?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
All right, we're now close to the public portion of the hearing. We're either in discussion or motion. No discussion, we can go to a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of item C2, case 3, parentheses 2024, for the ordinance 1353, a request for a text amendment for section 8-7-15 for specific definitions.
Motion to approve.
Let me, I'd actually like to add a little
Okay.
bit. You said that we could change or add those specific districts in the downtown district and the Gateway Village district into the residential district category?
Yes, ma'am, you can certainly make that recommendation.
If we could do that, that kind of helps me understand, if I'm reading residential districts, what zoning categories residential is allowed.
Okay. So that would be the Gateway Village Residential Village sub-area
Residential.
and the Downtown Edge district.
Okay.
You want to?
Yeah, I'd like to amend that.
I'll amend my motion to include her items, or let her make the original motion. whichever.
You would need to, we have a motion on the table, so you would need to
Amend
that.
it.
I will amend that, or pull it back,
Okay, well,
and let her make the original motion.
Uh-oh.
I don't recall, I couldn't hear what she was adding to it.
Okay.
well, we have to still act on your, but we can stop for a lack of a second, I guess.
Well, give me the repeat of what you wanted to add to it, and I'll just make that a motion.
Okay.
What she said.
To include the Downtown Edge district and the Gateway Village Residential Village district.
Say it one more time.
Okay, Downtown Edge district and the residential village in the Gateway Village district.
Okay.
Is that right?
I'll make a motion to approve with what she said.
So just for clarification, Mr. Harrison made a recommendation to approve the text amendment with the addition of including the Gateway Village Residential Village sub-area and the Downtown Edge sub-area into the definition of residential.
Perfect.
What he said.
Okay.
Okay, all right. We have Tom's amended motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all right. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. All right. Moving on to item C3, a request to amend the official zoning map from Industrial Distribution ID to Highway Service Business District HSB, 990 Iris Drive. The applicant is Jessica Wilson.
Hey, good evening, Chairman and Planning Commission members. All right, so the request is to amend the zoning map from ID to Highway Service Business District. Location is at 990 Irish Drive. So here is an aerial view of the location. It abuts the Parker Road Bridge. There's some surrounding Highway Service Business Districts that abut the property, as well as some O&I, which is office institutional, to the north. It's 1.07 acres. There's a 7,200 square foot multi-tenant building constructed in or around 1983 and then later renovated in 1990. Currently, from looking at our business license list that we have, there are 6 businesses occupying the 8 available suites. One of those businesses is a dental office, 2 are home health care provider offices, and 2 social service organizations. So there's approximately 2 suites left there. Let's see. So here's a street view of it so you can get a better idea. It's this big brick building that you probably see all the time. So the proposed zoning district is Highway Service Business District, and it is to provide places for heavier commercial business and wholesale uses and to facilitate the use of land adjacent to major arterials and principal highway intersections that are designed primarily to serve the automotive traveling public. Here's the current zoning map. Like I stated earlier, there's some adjacent parcels that are zoned Highway Service Business District with your office institutional to the south right here. There's 8 criteria that we consider when we receive a zoning request. They're up on the screen. Also in your staff report are staff's answers to those. I won't make you bored by reading all of those, but if you have any questions on those, you feel free to ask me. So when considering a zoning change, it's imperative that we keep in mind the permitted uses. So for instance, with this property being ID, it's really not conducive to industrial uses, the building, nor really the site as well. And then you have to consider your adjacent businesses as well. Could be impacted by industrial uses if one were to go there. Again, the site really doesn't work for an industrial type use. The future land use map has this property as general commercial, so staff feels that it is in line with what the future land use map states for the comprehensive plan. With all that said, staff does recommend approval because it's in conformity with the future land use map and consistent and compatible with the surrounding areas. If you have any questions, I'll be free to I don't mind you asking. Also, the applicant isn't here tonight, so if you have any questions that you were going to ask her, feel free to ask me.
Well, I have just a couple of questions. It looks like the major difference between both of those zoning categories is that going from, let's see, from the ID to the HSSB, doesn't that reduce the side lot size? Or am I doing it backwards?
Yes, so
Okay.
in ID, I know that they're required to have an acre, and then in HSB, it's 20,000 gross square feet. But yes, it does reduce it.
Okay. And as well as the rear lot and the front lot's the same, is that all right?
Yes, I'm not sure what those setback requirements are in ID off the top of my head.
Okay. Good. Let's see.
50 front and 50 rear for ID.
For ID, okay. So then, so they would be reducing the,
So
The
the
rear
rear
lot.
lot, yeah, minimum would change by 10 feet.
as well as the side lots? No, they'd be increasing the side lots, okay.
Yeah, let me pull this site back up. It's kind of hard to see here, but I'm not sure the distance on here. This is a good bit though from where the building is at.
But it can't be greater than what the minimum requirements are.
Say it again, I'm sorry. Oh, it's just gotcha, okay.
Well, if the staff believes that it has reasonable economic use as is, then,
So yes, it does, because in the industrial district, we do allow for like office uses, medical and non-medical. So there are uses that the property owner, their prospective tenants could fall under. They have just run into, potential tenants that have come in wanting to establish a specific type of business there, and it hasn't been allowed just due to zoning.
well, if the businesses are different, wouldn't it be in conflict with the businesses that are there, healthcare?
Yes, so those are still permitted there under the Highway Service Business District permitted uses. So it wouldn't affect the current tenants that are there.
But it might be a conflict if you're having different type tenants, more industrial tenants versus healthcare.
Yeah, so these wouldn't be industrial type tenants because we're changing it from industrial to Highway Service Business District. So we're moving to a more general commercial, maybe possibly a heavier type of commercial use. The site really restricts, in its current state, in the building that's already there, really restricts what type of tenants could go there. You most likely wouldn't see a retail use going into a professional office building. Most likely you're going to have your office type uses. The applicant stated that they had somebody who was interested to do massage therapy there. So, that's kind of what the type of tenants that they would be getting in that building.
Okay.
You're really downgrading that, because otherwise an industrial use could go there.
Yes,
Right,
it could.
Currently, right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The applicant is not here, but I want to point out people need to be careful of answering the questions about the zoning power. The standards on page 2 The applicant, whether the proposal will permit a use that is suitable in view of the use and development of adjacent and nearby property. The applicant put no. Looks like put no on everything.
Mhm.
Whether the proposal is in conformity with the policy and intent of the comprehensive land use plan says no. We know that's not true. So just a reminder to be careful about it.
Sure.
But,
I will, certainly we can't coach them or tell them what to put on their answers,
No.
but I can definitely guide them in a direction to.
Right.
So read the question.
Okay, is that what you're doing? Okay. Just a minor. kind of
Sure, I
clerical
understand.
thing.
Thank you for
Okay.
letting me
You're
know.
welcome.
So she's submitting this request only because of massage, was there any other applicants that she felt, tenants that she felt that she could come in?
I'm not sure. I know in our office, in as far as the business licenses go, we really haven't had many applicants come in that were requesting for this particular address, and the zoning didn't work for them. I think that the property manager has encountered it on the front end, and kind of has done their due diligence as far as screening those applicants or prospective tenants to see if their use would work. Again, like I said, the only one that the applicant stated was a massage therapist. There was a conversation with that particular tenant today. I don't think she's going through with it, but the building owner and property manager, I think, still want to proceed with rezoning it so that they can broaden the tenants that they can have in the building.
Do we know the rate of occupancy of that building right now? The percent?
I'm not sure what it is. Yes, but I don't know like the particular suites, how big they are, and
Could you repeat what Scott said just for the record there? You said 10.
there's 8 suites in there and
Yeah.
6 are occupied at the moment.
Okay.
So about 80%.
Any other questions? All right. Is there anybody signed up to speak?
I don't think so.
Being none? Okay,
No.
there being none, we've closed the public portion of this hearing, and we're now in discussion or motion.
Well, I think based on, I'm looking at the finding of fact criteria, it looks like there are 6 tenants there. A building seems to be operating. It seems like there may be some uses if we change it that may be a little bit of a, not necessarily burdensome, that may be in conflict with the existing tenants that are there. So I was thinking based on the grounds of whether there are other existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property that give supporting grounds for either approval or disapproval. That's just my opinion.
So you're saying there may be businesses that are not appropriate for there? How would you define them or clarify them?
Well, not necessarily. I'm
Right.
thinking that if 6 out of 8 tenants currently are within the existing zoning, by changing the zoning, then you're allowing business that are not currently allowed to be on that property. So I'm assuming that if there are existing or changing conditions, meaning this particular zoning, that affect the use and development of the property currently. That's what I'm saying.
Right, okay.
Pretty much you're concerned with how it would interfere with the existing customers
Mhm.
that are surrounding it.
Right,
Mhm.
right,
So,
Is it 6 out of 8? That's pretty good.
right.
If I can say one thing,
Mhm.
so the existing tenants that are there
Mhm.
are also allowed as a permitted use in the highway service business district.
Okay.
So changing
Right.
the zoning
Okay.
from ID to highway service business district is not going to affect the current tenants that are in there.
It just adds more uses.
It just adds more uses for that building. And again, keep in mind that that particular site probably isn't going to be ideal for industrial. Also, looking at the future and the future land use map, it will eventually be general commercial and not industrial distribution.
I see. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions? Motions?
I don't want to hog them all,
Where is
let
it?
somebody else.
I was looking for them. Where is
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item C3, case 4, 2024, ordinance 1355, a request to amend the official zoning map from industrial distribution ID to highway service business district, HSB, at 990 Irish Drive Southwest.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Second. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. All right. Moving on, item case C4, case number 5, 2024, ordinance 1356. It's a request for a special use permit to establish tractor-trailer truck parking within the industrial distribution ID zoning district. Location is 2019 East Park Drive. The applicant, Nazir Zainu, if I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so this is a special use permit for tractor-trailer truck parking in the ID zoning district at 2019 East Park Drive. All right, so here's your aerial view. It is 8.58 acres, currently platted in the Conyers Rockdale Industrial Park. The site is heavily vegetated and undeveloped. Also, as you can see here, the Transco gas pipeline runs right here through the southern portion of the property. So tractor-trailer parking is defined as an area designated and designed for the parking of vehicles for which a commercial driver's license is required to operate said vehicle and where a fee, contract, or membership is required for entry. So before I start, at the back of your packet, there's a large concept plan. So that way, maybe while I'm going through it, you can kind of follow along and see what I'm talking about. So of the 8.58 acres, the applicant is proposing to develop 5 of those. He's proposing to provide 61 parking spaces. 49 of those would accommodate tractor trailers, and 12 of them would accommodate dump trucks. Here's the current zoning map. You can see all around it is zoned industrial. Here's the concept plan on, and then this is a little bit closer, but you guys do have those up there as well. Also within the staff analysis, we provided the supplemental use standards for tractor trailer parking. So special use permits is to provide for uses that are generally compatible with the use characteristics of a zoning district, but that require individual review of their location, design, intensity, configuration, and public facility impact to determine if the appropriateness of the use of any particular site in the district and their compatibility with adjacent uses. Special uses may also require the imposition of additional conditions to make the uses compatible in their specific context. Like I said, as I stated, the site is 8.5 acres. The applicant is proposing 5 acres, and I would like to point out that the concept plan that the applicant provided is simply a concept plan. It does not include stormwater management, driveway design standards, or landscape requirements, and it's likely that the developed area or number of spaces could change when the full set of construction plans are prepared. Staff does recommend, I'm sorry, let me back up. There's 8 criteria that staff looks at when we receive a zoning request. So in there, I've addressed those questions. I do want to point out that we all know that the metro area, Conyers, Rockdale, are facing tractor trailers parked in, parking lots in residential neighborhoods, and we're simply lacking available areas for individuals to park their trucks legally. So there may be one that's in Rockdale County. Currently, the city has no approved and legal tractor trailer parking area. So this would be the first one that Conyers has. So staff does recommend approval for the request to establish a tractor trailer parking area with 3 conditions: that each parking space shall be demarcated or striped, each vehicle shall be parked in designated parking spaces, and vehicles parked in the drive aisles are prohibited, and while parked on the premises, sleeping in the vehicle is prohibited. And in addition to into our 3 conditions were the supplemental use standards that are also provided in your staff report that the developer and the applicant will have to adhere to before establishing that business. And the applicant is here. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them, or if you would like to listen to the applicant first. Okay.
Why don't we do that?
Perfect.
Have some
Thank you.
questions. Thank you.
So we have a lot of trucks, and there's a lot of shortage of truck parking in the area.
Let me say, your name?
My name is Nasir.
Okay.
I'm owner of a trucking company.
Okay.
So we have a lot of drivers around this area in Conyers, Stone Mountain, Lithonia area. So they're struggling to park their trucks, our trucks, and their owner operators. Mostly they park like in a shopping centers. We get towed away, we get booted, and we paid a lot of money. It's also dangerous to park anywhere. We're congesting. Also, trucks are like circling around to find any parking, congesting traffic, polluting the environment. So we came up with putting all the trucks in one space. Easier for us to look over for them and to take care of our drivers that lives in this area. So we bought this land, which is industrial, surrounded by a lot of industrial places. There's a lot of warehouses around the area. So we have a lot of customers in this also, Conyers and Lithonia and Stone Mountain area. So we are trying to build this for our trailer and truck parking. Easier for us if we load around this area, so they can stay there instead of crowding the streets and taking a lot of spaces and in any like open private properties.
You said you own a trucking company. You will try to designate this just for your trucks? Or is it going to be open to the public?
Mainly, we have around like 35 trucks of ours. So we have a lot of owner operators. They're independent. They have their own trucks, but they work under our company. It's mainly is going to be for us. But if we have more space, we're just going to be open to.
So in the get-go, you're going to restrict it to just your drivers.
It depends on the facilities. Space. If we have enough space, then we're just going to give it to.
So how you could regulate that? You could have a lot manager or somebody there to maintain who comes and goes.
Yes, eventually.
So there'd be like a guard shack or something.
Right. Yeah, we have small guard shop in there.
Well, so there'll be a building or facility set there to keep up with the comings and the goings.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how many trucks do you maintain in your?
We have around 30 now.
30?
Yes, but most of them are owner-operators. They own their own trucks. Okay. So it's easier to manage if we put them in one space.
Hey, now I noticed that as part of the plan is to have cameras, security cameras.
Yes.
Where will those be maintained and viewed and protected at?
We haven't thought that through, but our engineer is going to work on it. He's going to work on it.
Like maybe if you got an office in Atlanta that they might be maintained, or were they in the guard shack there at the facility?
The guard shack can maintain it. We can see it on our phones, and everyone can see them. Even the drivers might have them to see their trucks is safe and sparked.
Right.
And
one thing that concerns me is I'm not sure the facility itself or the property itself, if there are any streams or drainage areas. And, 18-wheelers, you get some leakage sometimes and whatnot and runoff.
Right.
Now, you've got a stormwater situations that you're going to have to be part of your plan. I'm going to encourage you, if this is approved, to make sure that the runoff thing is really important to the property, and you keep up with where the runoff goes to. There's no damage to the environment.
Yeah, definitely. We're thinking about that too. So we'll have a detention pond if needed. Currently the area is I checked it on the FEMA website. There's no pond or lake or anything that's going to be affected. But also we might gonna put detention pond. I think the city might require
I
also
would
to
say
put
work closely with stormwater on this.
yeah. But there's no anything like a pond or a lake or a stream that's passing through it.
Now, you're doing this on 5 acres. Is the other acreage you're going to plan to expand?
Yes,
eventually?
yes. So when there's this basically shortage of fund to develop the whole 8.5, but in the future we might develop the whole thing.
So it could go up to 100 parking spaces, couldn't it?
Probably,
If you're
yeah.
61, you
Probably,
could
yeah.
possibly go
Yeah,
to
if we develop everything, yeah, we'll have more spaces.
So it's the
For-
plan to get all of it
To get-
zoned
It is zoned
at this
industrial.
one time, but only develop part of it?
It's the whole thing, so
So the whole thing is zoned industrial. It's a matter of fund. We don't have enough money to
Okay.
build 8.5. We build 5 of it, which is the required amount to build a truck and trailer parking. And then when we have the money, we'll develop.
So your special use permit is to include the entire piece of property, but you're not gonna develop a part of it, is that correct?
Yes, sir. And currently, yeah.
So you coming out of Stone Mountain, DeKalb County, did you find any parking spaces? Are there particular regulations within DeKalb County that would not allow this type of establishment, a tractor trailer parking lot?
There's not a lot of industrial areas, and where Stone Mountain is my residential address. But most of my drivers they live everywhere from like Macon to everywhere. This is the property that we found is industrial, and most of cities and counties, they require industrial land to have a truck and trailer parking on there. So this is the first opportunity that we got, and it's close. It's in the center of everywhere. It's
But
close
that's
to
my
the center.
concern, is it is close, because Conyers has changed, we're more so residential than industrial, and a lot of things have been zoned that way. But
Industrial.
as far as our requirements and the density of residents and the coming and going of 100 trucks, even if you go to 60 trucks on and off the highways, it's quite a bit. And for it to expand up to 8 acres, I have a lot of concerns about it. Because one thing, I live off of Old Covenant Highway, and the trucks at nighttime back up trying to get into this warehouse.
Okay.
And those, I've not seen a police officer yet to monitor it, as far as us going around and trying to monitor the truck. So as far as, you not only have to have someone in your boots, you got to have policemen pulling these 18-wheelers out of this hole. How many entrance ways you're gonna have? They're coming out to the facility.
So trucks are going to be everywhere, like in all the 50. Most of my drivers are OTR, so they don't come all at once. It's easier to manage. So,
But on the weekend, I noticed how on weekend it's heavy, because normally they're gonna park on the weekend, and they come in on Thursday and Friday. So
You're right.
that's my experience, because any day of the week you can see it on Lake Rockaway.
and
And Old
have you
Covenant
seen
Highway.
this on parking lot or in warehouses and stuff?
They park the trucks there, and it's like they say they're repairing them for repair facilities, but they pick them up on Sunday night, and we can't even hardly get into the subdivision because they're parked there. And I understand you got 5 acres, but I just don't think that Rockdale can be the answer to every 18-wheeler that has a, because when you go into the business, you got to consider, probably I need to go to Covington, probably I need to go to Monroe. I got to park outside the metropolitan area for my career. I just can't park my truck in the middle of my subdivision. In the middle of a residential neighborhood. We all want to park close to home. We all want to get to our house.
Okay.
Not only, that's my concern.
Again, this is surrounded by a lot of industrial areas, a lot of warehouses. I think it's a little bit far from residential, but
It's not really, sir. I'm sorry. 138 in Silkman is residential. You got a lot of proposed land. You got a lot of opportunities for proposed land. And I don't see how it ties in with the Sigma Corridor plan and development that they have. You got townhouses, they're slated for right now to be, chosen for development. That's on Sigma, 2 different plots. And then not only are you going to be at 61, you got the opportunity to expand up to 100. And pretty much you're gonna put, it's not just gonna be your business of 35 trucks. You're gonna put whoever pays to have a slot.
Right.
So, and your objective is to make money, and that's okay to make money, but I just don't want you to make 18-wheeler tractor trailer in my back door of my residential neighborhood.
Yeah, but mostly we're struggling with kind of like management issue, not just money. So we just want to put all our trucks instead of, so we cannot find any parking, like you said, there's a lot of shortage of parking. So 2 of trucks are somewhere and the others are anywhere, and they're far from the driver's location. So our concern is just to put all the trucks in one location, easier to maintain, easier to manage, easier to look out the trucks for, and all that is our main. We can even not hire anyone. It's just our 30 trucks is enough for us, and we're growing actually. So this is gonna be just probably first use is gonna be for us, and then secondly, if we can just give.
It's just one of the key things when you go into this type of business. It's where I'm gonna park my truck. I mean, that's everybody's concern. Is where I'm gonna park my truck. When I go into an independent 18-wheeler, that first concern is where I'm gonna park my truck. I can't bring it to the residence. I can't park it on the street outside the subdivision. So now we're gonna, Conyers is gonna be considered the home of 18-wheelers. I don't think, when they made this up, 5 acres could be considered a tractor trailer location. Pretty much, unfortunately, I was opposed against because this is what I knew was gonna happen. Every 5-acre lot, you're gonna have an 18-wheeler subdivision. We all live here. We want to get out of our subdivisions. We want to get to the highway, as such as yourself. We want to be close to home. And this is impairing us and blocking us about our home if we got an 18-wheeler with 100 trucks, potentially. And, it's on a main thoroughfare, which is Sigma Road and 138. You're going to get off of Sigma Road, you're only going to get off of 138. There's no new highways, no new infrastructures that's planned for Rockdale County. So, you're going to get off on the same highways all other residents are going to get off on, and it impairs the traffic, the flow of traffic. So, it's a concern to think about. That's what I'm saying. If you live in Stone Mountain, was it available in Stone Mountain? You said some of your truckers in Macon, so, and it's other places.
Just drivers.
Drivers, yeah. But if a driver that comes from Macon, probably he want to park in Conyers.
In Macon, no.
I mean, that's my concern. It's a big issue with 18-wheelers.
I think as we look at this, it's important. I know it says you're only doing 5 acres, but as we look at deciding on this, we're really looking at 8.5 acres because the conceptual site plan really doesn't mean anything because the whole property could be used for truck parking. So we want to, whatever we decide, we want to look at it as 8.58 acres, not 5 acres, and
right.
that's 61 trucks up to 100 trucks. What we have in the past, the ones we've approved, we sometimes have limited to the number of trucks. That is an option too.
Can I ask, how was your concept for this developed?
Engineer developed it.
Okay, how did he develop it?
Yes, sir.
I mean, how was it composed? I mean, what determined your acreage and how many spaces? And I mean, what was the whole thought process? And the reason I'm asking that, because I'm sitting here and I'm living in Conyers, and as a matter of fact, I just saw some trucks today. They were struggling to make turns and in some of these places, and I'm not sure what kind of space you have allocated turning off of East Park onto the premises, but it can back up traffic significantly.
Yeah, so we have 2 driveways to go to the track, to circle around, and we have enough space for each track. We have like up to 14 or 15 feet space wide, and then 75 long. So the track is usually 8 feet and 70 feet long, and 8 feet wide. So we have enough space for each track.
Okay. In a given day, how long are the drivers allowed to stay there?
Usually for like a day or 2 days or 3 days. Till they're always on the road.
Okay.
So when they come here to reset the hours, they usually stay here for like a day or 2 days.
Okay, another question then, because I was told in concepts like this, they can also have a car there,
A car,
a car.
a small car.
Yeah.
Probably yes.
Is that a part of this concept?
Probably yeah. Usually what they do is we'll give a dedicated one space to a trucker, so he can put his car over there, and then he can save it using one of. So there's no one else is gonna park on that designated area of the trucker. So when he comes, he always have space.
But can he share a spot with someone? I'm gonna be on the road Monday through Thursday, and
Right.
so you're gonna be on the road Friday through Saturday. Can I share the spot? I mean, what's the rules and regulations? What kind of lease agreement, or is it a lease agreement you have the people sign, or is
Yeah,
it
if
day by
it's-
day, weekly agreement, contract?
So yeah, so drivers, this is gonna be mostly for us, like I said. So each of the drivers will have their own designated space. So when they come, they have to have their space always. So we'll assign any number to them. If we're gonna lease it to someone, then they definitely have their own space. Usually we pay $150 to $200 a month for one space. So it has to be his space, whether he is there or not. It has to be empty all the time. Also, we're looking for to store some of trailers in there. 3 or 4 trailers. I might not have any drivers. So
You're looking for storage?
to put just trailers in there.
Is that allowed? Storage of... Is storage of trailers allowed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
she just put trailers in there. So
okay.
How many of your trailers carry food?
we are general freight. So I have 2 that are reefer trailers that carry food.
To the
2 of them.
general food merchandise?
Yeah, they're like refrigerated food, but the rest can carry like dry food or anything. We don't require. We depend. We take our loads mostly from brokers, so whatever they give us, we carry it as long as
General freight?
it's a normal weight.
Okay.
We don't take more than 30K. So
Do you use any refrigerators?
we have 2.
Do those would be the ones for food?
2 of those are refrigerated.
Okay. I don't know, the reason I asked that, a statistic comes to mind that I hear on occasion that if the trucking industry came to a screeching halt, the United States would run out of food in about a week.
Really? Oh, no.
And that's a scary thing.
Right.
So I think that it's important that we learn to figure out how to handle
Right.
the tractor trailer industry. I mean, it's an important industry.
Right.
Although we hate them sometimes. I used to do 1,500 miles a week when I was traveling in a car, and I used to get behind 18-wheelers, and I hated them.
Yeah.
But it's a necessity,
Right.
and the business that you do is a necessity.
Right.
So I think sometimes we have to figure out how to accommodate those things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And albeit we are a small community, maybe we can do things in a small way.
Right. So that's where we're having issues. I think the State Department is also, the Department of Transportation is also studying it because there's a lot of crashes in the highway. I think last week I heard even in tracking stops, some drove, hit 2 truckers and they died. So people are parking because we also have hours to drive. We cannot drive more than some hours, so we have to reset our hours. So it's very, very strict hours that we drive. So within those hours, they're rushing always. They're in a hurry to get to their destination before. And then when they go there, the spot is full, and they're forced to park, adjacent to a road.
How long have you been in business?
4 years, 5 years. Yeah.
You mentioned 2 driveways. I only see one. Are you talking about one eventually on Sigmund Road, or?
Probably on Sigmund Road, yeah, if we develop the 8.5.
Right.
The whole. But we work with the city closely with the planners to make it more.
I think when you're just looking at it in this small scope, I mean, the idea is perfect as far as the industrial district, but in thinking about the travel to get to this spot, you know, we're talking about an already very complicated intersection at 20. Then you're talking about a very tight turn on Sigmund. If you're coming off of 138, it's very tight there. And if you're talking about rush hour, it is already backed up all the way on Sigmund. So, and it just seems that, you know, I guess if you're talking about developing the additional area, I'm assuming there's probably going to be some detention areas or whatnot. That's a lot of extra traffic, and it's already cumbersome with the cars. I mean, you know, I'm sure you've probably been down those areas.
Right.
And then adding those trucks turning, you know, on that tight turn on Sigmund, and cars driving fast, you know, at that intersection, even if they're turning right, it seems like it would be somewhat of a disruption in the traffic, the currently already congested traffic flow.
Right. But what I see it is, there's a lot of, even in our adjacent to us, across the street from us is a big warehouse. And then on the other side is a big warehouse also. On the sides are a big warehouse. So I thought like trucks are already coming there anyway. So the thing that we try to mitigate the problem is trucks that are loaded there trying to get out quickly or trying to get in or try to park in there to wait. Next, probably like 3 are going to the warehouse to load, and 3 or 4 next are parked in there in the street. So instead of doing that, they can just have a dedicated parking, and when they're called, when they're ready to go, they can just go one at a time.
Okay, my understanding was that you're not going to be in use for the tractor trailers that are already in the area. This would be for your business, they would be coming into.
For our business, even like we load a lot in that area, so we're creating a lot of traffic circling around to find the parking or to get out of their area. So if someone, let's say he's loading in there, actually I have a driver that's loading in Conyers, Georgia right now, so he can load. If there's a lot of trucks going to that warehouse, there's going to be a lot of traffic, so he's going to be forced to wait around the area around the warehouse. But if you have this, he can just park over there when the time is next, or when he's called, he can just go straight to his to the warehouse, and instead of like circling around or trying to find the parking. When the time is
It's going to be a holding pattern place too. It's going to be a holding pattern. It's going to be like
kind of right. Yeah.
Okay.
So when they come, they stay there for the hours, and a holding lot kind of. So the area is very surrounded by warehouses. We're not adding any pressure to that warehouse, and we have a lot of customers from that area.
Would you be open to limiting the number of parking spaces?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I think the problem is it's not the area surrounding. It's an already burdened infrastructure
Right.
that we're going to burden more. And that's more the area around is okay. There is certainly some development across the Sigmund Road area, 138, but everything abutting it is basically industrial. But again, it's how much impact is it going to have to the citizens who live around this area. I happen to live on Sigmund Road, so I know that. It is tough. Now, it is being expanded.
And I respect your business. I got
Right.
family members in your business. It's not like that's why I'm very knowledgeable about the business.
Right.
And I know what the problems are about the business. But I know I got my nephews, and they have to go hour out and then come in, because the concern is it used to be industrial here, but we've populated too. It's heavy residential.
Right.
So you got all these industrial zoning place, and like you said, yes, it's all industrial, but it's the impact of the residential with industrial. It's just hard to bring that type of volume into an already over impacted area. I live off of Sigmund Road, like I said, and I'm concerned because how many lights you got to go by before 18 people in the afternoon go by? Because you make the statement you're going to be. It's no time of day. It's going to be all the time. It's just concerning.
Right.
So one of the requirements is special use permit to look at the surrounding area if it belongs in there. It's not allowed by right. That's why I have a special use permit. to look if it fits there, if it's suitable. I just want to point that out. And that's a criteria you need to look at. Is there any more questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll ask ask you a question. So in your analysis of, that you make, the staff report, were you making it based on that the whole 8 acres could be used and there could be 100 trucks there? Because it's mentioned 61, the 49 tractor trailers and the 12 dump trucks, but when we look at that, we're not, unless we condition to that, we're really not looking at the 5 acres. Is the special use permit conditioned to those 5 acres?
Is not.
It is not, okay.
It
So-
carries with the entire
Okay.
property.
So when you're making your staff report, you are still recommending the approval with the knowledge of the site plan doesn't really mean anything in terms of what could go there if a special use permit is given.
Sure. So staff's recommendation is not based solely on the 5 acres. When we look at a zoning request such as this one, yes, we are considering the entire site itself. You also need to consider that where this site is located is within an industrial park. All these surrounding properties are industrial. That entire, let me pull my zoning map back up. Nah, it's not working. No, maybe it died. So while he's getting that up there, so all the way down East Park is a dead end. That's all industrial. Across the Sigmund Road intersection is also industrial. The adjacent parcel to the west is Hill Phoenix. You can see on the aerial view that there are multiple tractor trailers that are parked on that site. Essentially, the entire that Sigmund Road corridor, really from kind of where that starts up to 138, is going to be primarily industrial. So I understand that you guys are concerned about the impact to residential areas and your residential uses, but this area is already industrial.
I think the concern was not that specifically the zoning category, because it's already zoned that. But there's a reason this requires a special use permit if it's compatible with the infrastructure we have. I'm not saying anything either way, but just to look at, can Sigmund Road handle that traffic? Can East Park Drive handle it? What is the impact of 100 trucks there on the surrounding area? Not irrespective of the zoning.
Right, and a traffic study wasn't required, or a traffic count.
Right.
I think where this is located, the trucks that would be utilizing the site probably wouldn't be getting off at Sigmund Road and traveling all the way down. They would most likely be getting off at Salem Road and taking a left and going all the way down Sigmund and accessing the site from possibly Salem Road. Not necessarily, although 138 is an option as well as Sigmund, but I think the direct route of...
Or I-20 Salem Road,
Yes.
Should that Sigmund, especially should that Sigmund entrance become a reality, Sigmund Road.
And then I know with the concern about him developing the entire 8.5 acres within the industrial zoning district, there is a maximum density of 75%. So he is limited as far as how much he can develop. Also, the Transco gas line is on that southern portion of the property line. While he could receive approval from Transco to develop it on there, but there is that additional area that the gas pipeline does run through. So
could he pave over that?
He would have to get approval from Transco.
Do they do that?
Yes.
They do pave over. They have in the past?
And also the setback requirements, so the front would be considered Sigmund Road. If you're talking about a 53-footer, the setback is only 50 feet.
That's for a building, not a parking, that's for a building.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know, so to address the second concern about the additional driveway, where this site is located, adding an additional entrance off of Sigmund Road with that close to the intersection may not be something that is possible just due to the distance. So his only option may be only accessing it off of East Park Drive at that entrance that he's proposing. Again, this is a concept site plan, so that particular driveway may not be something that at this point in stage can support a tractor trailer as far as like your radius. And I know that there's like the applicant is proposing a gate. I did measure it; it's like 57 feet from where the apron starts to where the gate is. So really, that may not be something that is conducive when you've got a 72-foot truck pulling in and trying to access the gate, keying in and driving. So, there's some other things that may need to be tweaked before this is something that can, come to life.
So they could create an entrance at one end near East Park and then further down an exit.
Are you talking closer to Sigmund Road?
Yeah.
He may
have one be an entrance and one be an exit.
Yeah, so there's a distance requirement between driveways, and again, you have the issue with being too close to the intersection.
Okay.
This is a situation where, we can, hypothesize. This is a situation where to decide on this, you really, really need a traffic study, in my opinion, to see what it does to the area roads.
If I may, to try to clarify some things,
All right.
again, we have a conceptual site plan, as what Raina was explaining. A secondary means of access onto the property may not be approved because of the distance to the intersection of Sigmund and East Park. Also, coming from Sigmund down to East Park, you have a grade change and a curve, so you have sight distance that has to be met as well. You're looking at probably a decel lane, and of 150 feet plus a 100-foot taper. So having that would eliminate a secondary means of access on the site. Let's not get too far down in the weeds of the site. The question that you guys have to answer is the use appropriate for the area? Should tractor trailer parking, is it compatible with the uses around it, and is it appropriate for this piece of property?
And wouldn't looking at whether it's appropriate for the piece of property to the impact on surrounding roads, that would seem to be something you would be appropriate to look at.
So, and I'm not going to disagree with you with that, but a tractor trailer parking or a parking area in general is not going to carry the same weight for the ITE, International Transportation Engineers, trip generation. That is what traffic studies are based on. This is quite simple. We're not talking about a residential use that has 2.3 trips per day within the peak hour of AM and PM, things like that. There's 61 parking spaces. So what's the maximum potential would be times two, that'd be on average would be 121 or 124 trips per day.
But we're not talking about 61, we could be talking about 100.
That's correct.
When we're looking at voting on this, or...
You're correct. It could be a lot more.
Right.
And the area for this, you're in an industrial park, is intended for industrial traffic and
Right.
district for industrial uses. You're on an industrial corridor, which is Sigmund Road, which is essentially from 138 to Salem I-20 is an industrial corridor. This is where I would think, as residents, you'd want your trucks to be versus in the Walmart parking lot. And that's...
I don't feel, Scott, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, just because you're
Go ahead.
saying a lot, and I just want, I don't think it's Rockdale's. I'm
Responsibility.
sorry. Yeah, it's not our responsibility to find truck place for.
I understand
I
your
mean,
concern.
that was just one of my vision is that really our responsibility? And wanted to share something else with you. It could be more than 2 trips a day.
Yes,
because what my nephews do, they may make a run for 2 hours out. They're going to come back and hold there until another run, go 2 hours out. So that truck may go into that particular facility 3 or 4 times a day.
Yes, ma'am. So, and I completely understand that. I understand your concern about, is it the city or county's responsibility to accommodate these trucks? Whether we like it or not, unfortunately, I-20 has become the next I-75. If you remember, I-75 south from the airport down has exploded in growth in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s with industrial and warehousing. We are that next corridor. We, as planners, hear it from ARC and from GDOT that trucking is here to stay. When we adopted the use 2 years ago for tractor trailer parking and adopted the supplemental standards, this is something that we all talked about. And yes, do we create legal areas for them to be that they're consolidated, or do we continue to kind of turn a blind eye? And like you said, they park on the side of the street. They park on Old Covington.
Individuals gonna park on the side of the street because what I'm speaking of, these 18-wheelers are parked on the side of the street and to go into a warehouse facility.
Waiting, yes, ma'am.
Waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So if this same thing is gonna happen over here, it's gonna be parked inside a facility to be waiting. And my other thing is, as a resident of Rockdale County, as a homeowner, what about the quality of life for those people who've already invested in Rockdale County?
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Where does accommodation?
From the county perspective, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Gooseby. The issue that I think Scott is trying to illustrate is that the gentleman is trying to provide a parking space for tractor trailers, because if there's not available space, they're going to park in areas where it's not acceptable, such as Walmart parking lots, such as neighborhoods. That affects your quality of life far more than the actual parking space out in an industrial area. That is simply what I think is trying to be explained here, is because there is an issue because of the ongoing factor of the market of housing. There's a bunch of trucks becoming in this area, and so therefore there needs a place for this to be happening. So again, that's just I just want to kind of clarify. I didn't want that to get lost in the weeds.
If we do it this way, at least it has some sort of regulation.
I have a question about parking lot parking and all that, Scott. Presently, do we have an ordinance that allows or disallows that? Or does our ordinance just cover residential streets?
Please clarify.
Tractors, trailers parking.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the present ordinance for parking on the street?
So tractor trailers cannot park and stand in residential districts or on streets currently. In commercial areas, if it's on private property, for example, Walmart, the Home Depot, those are big, vast parking lots that often have a lot of empty spaces, and drivers use those to park their tractor trailers. It's not against an ordinance unless the property owner posts a specific number of signs, so many places that say no truck parking, and then the property owner or property managers can contact the police department, who then can have those vehicles towed. So it's not a code enforcement issue, it becomes a criminal issue that the police can have towed.
Okay, so Walmart has those signs and trucks park under them and nobody removes them.
And Walmart's stance on that is, and I can't disagree with them on this, Walmart's corporate is telling their store managers don't have them towed. Those are our customers.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, when I was transporting, I used to Walmart when I had to. I'm just trying to understand, you know, if you're saying this is going to help that. But
Potentially. I'm not going to say it's going to resolve
Yeah,
all of it.
but
It's not a magic
Is
wand.
there
It's
a
cheaper.
way? Is there a way to try and help that through the government level, or does it have to be through a?
So this is a topic that has been discussed at the city level from as low as me up to the very top.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a good answer.
So what's to prevent somebody, commercial area, they say, well, trucks can park because it's private property?
I'm sorry.
In other words, I have a big commercial area and I have trucks parked there and there's no regulation against it.
So that's why we created the tractor trailer parking ordinance and district.
Right.
So if you own a commercial center and you know what, 50% of your parking is unused, sure, you'll let trucks park there and charge them a fee. Then you're operating a tractor trailer park in that lot. It's not permitted in that zoning district.
Okay.
So
If it's
you as
free,
you as the property owner are
Right.
infraction of the ordinance.
Okay.
Again, the property owners, like for example Kroger down at 138 in Flat Shoals, their property management is very aggressive on having trucks towed. Trucking, in my understanding, is a very tight-knit community. Truckers talk to one another.
Mm-hmm.
I think it costs somewhere several $1,000s to get a truck out of tow. I'm not sure. That's what I've been told. So
I'm sure that's true.
it gets around that, hey, don't park there, they'll tow you. So that's why we don't see trucks very often in that shopping center, because that owner and that manager prefers not to have commercial vehicles intermingling with pedestrian level vehicles.
Well, wouldn't the issue? I definitely think that the idea of having a designated tractor trailer parking lot is absolutely needed. But it seems like as we're doing the zoning, it seems like there should be areas that are targeted for that are conducive to the residents of this area. For instance, maybe right next to the 20 corridor versus coming inside with the residential. It seems like, although I think this is a great idea, but I do think that Sigmund, because I've been stuck in traffic many times.
We all have,
in between there, and to add not just cars, to add the 18-wheelers on there, and then they're turning, then they're doing the large curves, could be quite an issue. But why is it that we can't be a little bit more proactive than reactive in terms of maybe saying, okay, these areas along the 20 corridor, without actually coming into the city of Conyers, can be designated and utilized as tractor trailer areas?
Sure. So we have done that somewhat. We haven't gone and cherry picked properties, but it's allowed in the industrial district, ID district. We don't have a lot of ID district that fronts I-20 that meets the minimum acreage of 5 or greater for tractor trailer parking. And then the other way to do that is through this process of special use permit to identify, is this property, is the use appropriate for that property? Should this request not be approved, and the next thing that comes up on it could be an industrial distribution warehouse, just like what was developed across the street 2 years ago across East Park is a 200,000+ square foot industrial warehouse. It'll have some trucking. We have that. So I don't think we're going to get away from having any additional trucks. And I understand, because I've been stuck in traffic behind them. I've missed red lights because of trucks trying to turn and they don't have enough space. Heck, the biggest issue I see is on 138, trucks park and block the intersection, and it's 2 or 3 light cycles before you get through. Unfortunately, that's just how things are right now, and I think that's going to be how they are for the foreseeable future with commercial vehicle travel. But I hope I answered your question as far as identifying places along the I-20 corridor. Yes, we don't want vehicles of commercial vehicle size intermingling with pedestrian level or residential developments any more than what we already have, because Ms. Goolsby, like you said, coming out of your neighborhood going to Old Covington Highway is not a pleasant experience on certain times of day, especially when trucks are trying to get in that big warehouse that was built just a couple years ago across from L&B Recycling, or whatever recycling is. But yeah, I completely understand, and it is a dangerous situation because they don't have a turnoff lane to wait and stage to get in. I don't think any amount of zoning is going to fix that, other than creating something on their site to accommodate trucks staging. And I, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. I wish I could help you with that, because I understand the frustration that you experience coming and going on that corridor.
Look how many times we shut down the truck stop on I-20 at various intersections, which would have accommodated some trucks for overnight parking, because we didn't want them. Right there at Sigmund in I-20, how many times they brought that up? Three times. Sitting up here, I've been up here 3 times. We've killed it.
Yeah, on the south side of
yeah.
But the difference.
I think the key is what I said earlier. We have to accommodate and make sure that it's done in the proper way, because it's inevitable that it's going to be. Like I said, if you ain't got a truck, we're going to starve to death.
I don't think Rockdale County is capable of accommodating or handling the issue at hand with tractor trailers. And I think it's bigger than a county issue. It's really, we're interstate, we've always been known for railroads, highways, and so we even got, it's bigger than Rockdale County. And to me, and this is just me, what we're doing by allowing the truck stop is we're answering and addressing one issue and creating another issue. But if that's how Rockdale wants to do business, but that's what appears to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I think Tom. Go ahead.
I think Scott made a good point in terms of what could still go there. What could still go? It's not going to have that many trucks, but it can have maybe more trucks coming in and out. I don't know. In this piece of property.
Ms. Goolsby, just to clarify, you're right. It's not just a Rockdale County City of Conyers issue. It's a statewide and nationwide issue that we're facing. So there's no easy answers. So I do understand. I really do, because we face this. Atlanta Regional Commission sent out just several years ago, right before COVID, information about trucking corridors. And COVID slowed that down tremendously. As we know, everything shut down. Well, now it seems like it's come back with twice as much steam as it was in 2018, 2019.
Do you think anything thought about anything regulating or recommending the number of trucks that can go there, parking? Do you think that would, I mean...
Again, if that's something that this body is comfortable doing, that can be part of a recommendation.
Your opinion, though?
My professional opinion is that the site is going to give you what the site can give you with the development requirements, the supplemental standards. Realistically, on this 8.5 acres, as I said, Williams Transco in the past has allowed parking over their gas line, but that depends on the depth of their lines at the location. the conceptual site plan is showing 61 spaces conservatively. I believe just rough estimate of a space size, understanding turning movements for 73 foot to 83 foot long vehicles, you might be able to put in there all total maybe 130 vehicles. And that's part of, vehicles coming in and out. That's my estimation, looking at the size of the property, the shape of the property.
And if you figure it out, it's 11.9 per acre, which is a little higher than the normal for normal truck places. Having now I drove horses, but I lived under DOT, and I know what it's like to get somewhere and there's no place to go. You're not allowed on their ramps, you're not allowed in their lots, you're not allowed in there. So I do have some sympathy for this. I think as far as like the I-20 truck stop, I don't have sympathy for that. That creates other issues in a community. At least they can't stay here. The truck can be there, but the people can't be there. So you don't have the possibilities like on a truck stop where you have increases in trafficking, drug use, prostitution. That's not going to happen here because they cannot stay there. So I'm really kind of torn, and I do agree that you don't know what else could go in here. But I also understand the impact of Sigmund because I do live on it and what it's like to get down. And I often travel Sigmund all the way down to Salem to get on the highway because God knows you don't want to go near 138. And if I'm heading east, it works. So I'm torn. So I think less volume of truck would be important to me, bringing that number down some. But I think no matter what, and I would also love to see if we put something like this to then say, hey, we're not gonna, we don't care if you're a private lot. I don't know if you can do that. I don't care if you're a private lot. If you are in this city or this county, you are not parking trucks here because we have provided you a place. I would dream that would be an impact out of this, but that's just if I was King World.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the applicant may want to add something if you will be okay with that.
Sure.
And I have a question for
my
Ms. Wong.
explanation was wrong at time. So this is not going to be like a rest area. Trucks are going to come in and out multiple times a day. So let me give you an example. So my trucks, we have like 30 trucks. They all over the United States right now, all over. So this is not like a rest area or a travel stop that you see trucks are coming. This are going to be dedicated for hours mostly. So in order to grow, we need to put even trailers, empty trailers. We're having issues to park them anywhere. We pay $200 for a spot. And the example that I gave you earlier was, let me say, maybe it's a wrong example. So if the driver is living in Macon, Georgia, definitely he's not going to use this parking spot. He travels all over. When he want to reset his hours, he really want to stop in Macon, Georgia, around that area. He don't want to go park right here and drive all the way to Macon and come back here. It's a waste of gas and a waste of money for him. So this is going to be for the drivers that are here. For example, we have drivers in Virginia, owner-operators. They're not going to use this property. They're just going to use a travel stop or anywhere that they can find. I can even pay $200 for them that can park closer to them. So this is just going to be for the drivers that are circulating around here. So drivers are going to be usually within 15 miles of this area, maybe 20 miles. So if they want to reset their hours for a holiday maybe, or for the Christmas, if they don't want to drive, for example, for a week, 2 weeks, they cannot put it in a travel stop. So this is not going to be like a travel truck stop or any that. We have highway travel stops for that. In any highway that you drive, there's designated truck stops, rest areas that we can drive. But this is just going to be for resetting the hours. We have to park 34 hours in there. So, Ms. Goldsby, to address your, I know it's a real concern, but this truck there's no like four times in and out from this property per one driver. First, if we're going to even lease it, the one that are going to lease it is going to be living in this property, because when they reset their hours, they want to find a truck stop or a truck parking area close to their home. We have a lot in Lithonia, we have a lot in Stone Mountain. We have a lot of drivers that live in Conyers, Social Circle, and Lithonia closer, within this 15 miles. So for them to park right here, we needed this also to put our equipments. Even empty trailers, we're struggling to put them. We cannot just park them anyway. Empty trucks, even if they're out of service, we have to put them somewhere. These
A lot
trucks.
of these guys will be leaving their trailer there and taking the rig on.
Yeah, they're gone. Even some trucks, they're broken, they're out of service, or we don't find a driver for them. We have to put them somewhere. So this is just going to be, consider this as not in and out, in and out, in and out. It's just to reset their hours. They come every Thursday, they reset their hours different times. They come there, in 2 days, they leave. And then they go all over, and then they come back again. Even rarely they come like every reset hours. They can even reset all over. So basically, this is not just going to be in and out multiple times. Also, this is just going to service this area, mostly. So drivers not going to be allowed to there. Also, it's going to be designated. If I'm going to lease out to a driver that lives in Conyers, Georgia, that's his spot. No one is going to take that spot. If he's out, that doesn't mean any other driver is coming to take that spot. Most of owner-operators are like 95% of trucking businesses, small companies that have one truck or maybe less than 5 trucks. So we're struggling to park them anywhere. As it is, we're not allowed to park in residential area. We're not allowed to park in commercial area. Even in industrial area that have industrial warehouses, you guys are giving us a lot of requirements. We cannot park even in Conyers County industrial area. It needs special use permit. We cannot buy any industrial area less than 5 acres. That's why we bought this 8.5 acre. If it's 5 acre, it's not even less than 5 acres. It's not even feasible because we have to. There's a lot. We cannot even use all the spaces. The city is giving us a lot of restrictions. We have to be away 50 feet from a residential area, right, and 25 feet from big highways. So even that 5 feet, if you see, it's very, very compacted. So trucks are there. We just want them to park somewhere instead of like crowding your residential streets or crowding your commercial parking lots. We just want them to park in one area. So consider this not like in and out multiple times. It's just going to be for one truck, one driver. When he comes home, he has a peace of mind that he's going to put it, because they're always worrying like, am I going to, all the truck stops in Pilot or travel, where we're parking right now is travel stop in a rest area. They're not safe for our drivers. They cannot leave their trucks and go home and then come back. And there's a lot of theft in this area. So also insurance issues is really, really hard. They want us to, they don't cover us if we park anywhere and we get robbed or we get cargo theft is a lot of issue. So as it is, it's very, very heavily regulated industries. I don't know where we're gonna go. Industrial areas as it is so heavy regulated. So the trucks are there already. They're going in and out of these warehouses. So they cannot just park in there instead of like waiting on a
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. You explained it very well. So
yeah, my English is
no. I don't have any problem with your English. Very well. So I can understand you. I don't know how to pronounce your last name though. Zunu. Okay.
I have a question for you. Okay, so you're saying that most of the persons that'll be using the lot are persons that live in this area?
Yes, definitely. Because
perhaps
everyone else is not
alleviating.
going to pay $200 from if you're like a truck driver. Let's assume you live in Macon, Georgia. You're not going to pay two. There's a lot of travel stops around there, maybe 20 miles from your area. If there's none, then you're. That's why we're having issues. You're parking like next to your street, next to your place, next to your address.
Okay.
So if you're gonna pay $200 a month, if I'm gonna lease it to someone else that lives in here, definitely it has to work for them to save money and track. They have to come back and forth. So what they do is usually they come on Friday, they park it, and then they leave on Tuesday or Monday or Friday when there's a load for them to go. When they rest with their families, now they know that the trucks is in a safe spot. It's only designated. If you pay $200 also, that's your spot. Okay. No one else is going to come to share in and out. If you're out, that doesn't mean someone else is going to come and take your spot.
Okay. And would you be open to maybe having, I know that they mentioned Salem Road versus exit 82 and exit 84, you know. Would you be open, because it looks like Salem Road will allow a right turn onto East Park. Right. Would you be open to making sure that they take that particular exit versus exit 82, because that creates a bigger problem, as well as maybe not operating or having the trucks come in during busy hours, like from, I don't know, what did they say, 6 to 8, or, I mean, what are the?
It's harder to regulate because they can do an 11.5-hour run during the day, and at 8 hours, they have to stop for 30 minutes. That's DOT. If they're running with 2 drivers, they have a little more liberality of time, but then they have to be off the road by 10 hours.
Okay, so having that
So
wouldn't
regulating time is harder
wouldn't be
because
a-
some guys like to drive at night, some people like to drive during the day, and that independent drivers determine that once they have their
Okay,
pickup.
so time would be hard.
So time would be hard, but I think the idea of saying you gotta get off at Salem.
Salem and then come down and make that
And
right
it's-
turn.
Right, I think a lot of the problem with what's happening now has to do with GPS, right? So you throw a place into a GPS, and it takes you over West Avenue and down to those tracks and trying to make a left there because it's telling you, and then you're there, and it's like, I'm there. You know, I got to get through this now. May never do it again, but this is where GPS put me, and it doesn't really consider what you're driving.
Right. And would you be open to limiting the number of trucks? So if you, maybe addressing their route that comes through Salem Road to get to your facility, as
Yes,
well
ma'am.
as the number of trucks, would that be something that you could
First
do?
place, even the trucks that I own, if we have drivers all over. If the driver's in North Carolina, for example, I have in High Point, North Carolina driver, he rarely is going to use this facility. He has, I'm going to pay for him to park around his area because it doesn't make sense for him to park in here and go home and then come here. And secondly, also, most of the spaces are going to be also empty trailers just sitting there waiting. We bought trailers, and probably 30% of the spaces are not going to be just equipment storage, basically. So trailers and trucks are going to be stored there forever till we find a driver. Even when we buy a lot of trailers, some driver maybe use 3 or 4 trailers. So 3 or 4 trailers are going to be just parked there for like weeks and weeks without even touching them. Also, to answer your question, to make a right instead of left, most of the drivers are very skilled. So even insurance required us to make as much right turns as much of left turns. So I'm sure they're gonna figure it out. But I'm also gonna mention to all my drivers to exit on Salem instead of the other.
I think what also could make sense, you know, the conceptual site plan that was presented to us, if we go by that, has 49 tractor trailers and 12 dump trucks.
Right.
We can recommend that to limit it because that's what was presented to us. Just as a suggestion.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
If you so
And then,
choose.
and of course, we can't do DOT jobs with no right turn or
Right,
something like that,
right.
so that they don't go.
They'll be looking at
Can't do
that.
that.
I'm designing. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, did you have something to say?
Nope.
Okay. All right. We'll now close the public hearing of this matter, and we're in discussion and/or motions.
If recommendations, and it was discussed, but I just wanted to be included with recommendations, you know, if this is brought forward. The guard shaft has to be on duty 24/7. There has to be a guard shaft. The desk has to be attended 24/7. That's one of my recommendations, because as he stated, for security reasons and their staff, and so, and there's also a security cameras will be on the facility. Is that a recommendation or requirement?
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement. Okay.
Okay.
Guard shack is 24/7, right? Okay.
Is it in
Make
this
it required.
24/7? But is it in the
That's why I said it's a recommendation. I didn't see it in the
conditions? that you were-
condition. I was wanting to include it in the.
Was that in the city's conditions?
It's in the review standards, right?
The standards?
So in the supplemental standards, there's not any kind of requirement for a guard shack, but that it says that there's any structures on the site that they have to comply with the architectural
Okay.
requirements.
We need to add the guard
So that,
shack.
yeah, if you want to, so that would be
That
something
is
to add.
Up to you if you guys are adding.
Right, 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 right,
We need to add the 24/7 man guard shack.
right. Okay.
Are we allowed to add like right turn access only onto the road into the facility? Are we allowed
That's
to
going to
do
be up to the DOT. I believe.
Oh, it has to be the
Or-
DOT that
or-
does that, okay.
Or the city, or,
Yeah.
Yeah, from a
Whatever.
zoning
Okay.
yeah, we can't.
perspective, we can't
Right,
require them
whatever,
to.
right.
Could we look into having another interest besides the one interest? Or I know that it may not be, but could we look into it if it is feasible to have another interest into the facility?
I think Scott
Says-
referred to that already.
Yeah, the where this site is, and adding in their entrance. First, the
Enough distance.
site, that area of Sigmund Road slopes down very far. So if they were going to do it, they would have to build that up a lot to make a driveway
So
for
it's not
trucks to. Second, with its proximity to the intersection, again, I don't know the distance, but they would have to be receive GDOT approval for that, and I don't know if that's something that would be an option. Coming off of East Park, again, proximity to the intersection as well as the distance between the two driveways is also something that we have in our ordinance. So I don't know if a second driveway is an option, but I'm not
Right.
marking it out completely because I don't have distance.
I would like, another recommendation I would like is to cap the spaces at 61 total, because that is the plan presented, and that is the concept plan. We have no idea what if we would have did the whole 8 acres, what it would be. So I like to cap the spaces at 61 total.
Okay.
You said 61?
Yeah, because that includes 49 tractor trailers and 12 dump trucks.
And that comes out to about 7 an acre if they develop the whole thing.
Right, okay.
Or when they develop the whole thing.
Right.
Really an if.
Just me ask one question. Do you happen to know when they're gonna finish with the upgrades on Salem Road? The widening it,
No.
well, Sigmund,
I don't.
Sigmund,
Sigmund.
Oh, Sigmund Road.
yeah, Sigmund.
I'm not sure when that project's supposed to conclude.
2030?
The widening of Sigmund? Okay.
Yeah, really. Well, you know, it just took them,
A long time, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crystal ball that
I
I mean, to do from Lesser Sigmund took 2.5 years.
Right, yeah.
And they're not really done with aesthetics, but it's.
All right, so we have a recommendation for the recommendation to have the guard shack 24/7 and a capacity of 61 spaces total. Any other thing?
My concern is just, I have concern about how the other 3 acres would be developed, so, considering it could go to 130 spaces, so.
Sure. And keep in mind, there's the pipeline that runs on their southern line of the property. Although that there's an option for them to approve it, like Scott stated, it may not be something due to the depth of the lines. There's a 75% maximum percentage that the lot can be. There are 25-foot buffers that are required as well. Also, tree density that they have to comply with. It's 20 units per net acre. So while, yes, you can certainly recommend a limit on the spaces, there are also development standards that are in place that may also limit the amount of spaces that the developer and the applicant can have anyway.
Well, they're certainly going to have enough, if you expand it, you're certainly going to have enough for 61. That's not going to be an issue.
Sure, the 61, yeah, but
Right.
for future development.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, okay.
For expansion, would it have to come back to the planning commission?
No, it would not, because the special use permit is on the property. So,
That's why you have to.
So our approval of the special use permit stops at 61, if that's what we have to.
if there were conditions, and yes.
Okay.
All right.
And if the use ceased for a period of 12 months, then the special use permit would go away. And if somebody wanted to come back in and reestablish it, they would have to come before planning commission again and start that whole process over again.
Right. All right. Okay. Anyone would like to make the motion? A motion?
Did we cover everything, guys? We want to make sure. Because I mean, I'm really
personally
concerned, so we want to make sure we covered everything, so.
Since you added everything, you need to make the motion.
No, not today. And we also, another condition is that Scott drive it every day at 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Got it.
So that's one.
So conditionally, it's a guard check 24/7, security cameras are already in there, and a cap at 21 total?
61.
61. I have 61 written here, 61 total.
You're really going down there.
Is
Okay.
that, so those
Right.
are the only two conditions?
And that's the only two that have been talked about.
Okay.
mentioned. Okay.
Oh, I just had a question. I know on this one, it's conceptual. You do have an 8-foot a buffer visual barrier around, and that's what you're going to do no matter what the plan is?
That's,
Okay.
It is required anyway.
That's
required.
Yes, so they're required to have,
they're required to have.
Code.
they're required to
Fence.
have the opaque fence or wall.
Right.
And then in addition to the wall, they also have to have vegetative screening along that fence that fronts any frontage lines, unless there's like vegetation, like for instance, between the undeveloped area. He's not required to add any plantings there. He
Okay,
can just use
perfect.
the existing vegetation.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Were
you
you ready to
ready?
make a motion? Yeah. Oh, Leslie's got it.
Yeah. Hey, I make a motion to approve with conditions on case number 5/2025 special use permit ordinance 1356. Conditions to include a guard check that is occupied 24/7 and to cap the total trucks at 61 for
Is
this
that
site.
along with the city's conditions too?
3 items they added, or
Right.
Oh, where they're at.
Right. You can just say the city's.
Along with the city's items.
Okay. Okay. So motion to approve with the capacity of 61 spaces total and a guard check 24/7 along with the city recommendation items. Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
Get yourself a
Okay,
truck.
very
Thank
good.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, yeah.
So
Scott said before we adjourn.
you guys had asked previously about getting updates from previous cases. So last month, you heard the zoning request for that .60 acre sliver.
Yes.
And the planning commission made a recommendation to approve, and the city council followed suit, approved the rezoning of that, and followed up with the annexation of the property. So just letting you guys know what the status of that was. And I believe Mr. Flanagan may have something he'd like to mention to you guys.
Come on up.
Planning Commission. It's been a while since I got up before this board and really spoke. He took over at Raynham. I had previous staff, but just want to announce that April 30th this year, I will be retiring.
Oh,
This year.
Congratulations.
Next month.
Oh, wow.
Really miss you.
Next month. So, I started when I was 25 years old.
Right, you've
Come
been-
before this board many times without staff. I was born and raised here, and I feel like, since during my tenure here, really got a lot of things accomplished. I feel like the city's in a better place going forward. There are other changes that probably could be made, that will be made. But, I've always looked at this as something that I love to do it. So, work for me is not work. It's something that I love to do. And I've been doing this for the last 43 years. Wow. It's going to feel a little funny,
Right.
when I walk away from it. But I've enjoyed this time, again, communicating with the Planning Commission. I think, Steve, you've been the longest tenured Planning Commission member. You could probably remember some times when it was a trying time when you lived in Lambeth Estates.
Yeah, yes.
And I was really on the hot seat. But, I stood those times, several other times even after that. But I appreciate this board and what you've done, the past boards. And what it has done to help the city of Conyers improve what it is today. Because when I first started working for the city of Conyers, it's not what it looks like today. It was totally different. The codes look different. They were very simple. And if we still had those codes today, you would probably be cursing out the city of Conyers.
Right.
But we did make a lot of changes, and I'm proud of those changes, proud of staff, like I said, previous staff. And so just because I'm stepping away from this position as Director of Planning and Inspection Services for the city of Conyers, I still live here, and I still planning on attending Planning Commission meetings when it's necessary.
Well, Marvin, I
You can
gotta
speak
tell
up.
you that you have been a shining light in what has occurred in the city of Conyers. I don't know how many years Steve had in it, but this would be my 13th year.
Right.
Serving on the Planning Commission, and I've got to tell you that I've enjoyed myself immensely, and it's been an honor working with you, and I hope that you will come back and
stay around.
Sit back in the corner and kibitz.
Yes.
And make sure that we're doing things right, and throw spitballs at Scott.
Okay. That's right. You're the new target, Scott.
Right, yeah.
So that's good. Well, I don't know what your plans are for your retirement, but
Golf.
are you a golfer?
Oh, yes. I played yesterday.
Okay. Well, that sounds
Now
like
you
a
can
plan.
become a scratch golfer.
Yeah. So, enjoy. I will enjoy lots of golf and some traveling, whatever. Wake up every day is Saturday. So I look forward to that.
Has somebody got a to-do list set up for you already?
Probably.
And
Are you gonna do the to-do list?
Well,
For now.
Are you gonna do a to-do list? You may be set up, but I said, are you gonna actually do it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, it's official. April 30th is my last day.
Oh, wow.
And if you want to, you invited. They're having a little reception at the Cherokee Run from 3 to 5 on April 30th. So if you're all welcome to come to
Is
that
April
reception.
30th your last day?
Yes, April 30th is my last
Well, you
day.
got one more meeting. You got to.
right,
Well, I
right.
don't think we have anything on the agenda for that.
No, no. Marvin, I've really,
We don't have a meeting on the 11th?
the city doesn't. Marvin, I've really enjoyed working with you, and I know we had some, contentious moments at the beginning there in the early 90s. I've been on the Planning Commission. This is my 20th year, and gone through 7 county directors
Right.
since I worked, and
I haven't
same
counted
city
that.
one. So that's a really testimony to you,
Yes.
and I'm really impressed with the city has done, and the diligence and the zoning codes and the planning for the city of Conyers.
Sure. Thank you.
And I know you'll still be around. So
I will.
And when you come here, you can speak as a citizen, so you can really give your opinion.
I will.
Right. I know
Yes,
you
you
will. And I can't say how much I'm going to miss you.
Same here.
But you'll be here.
Yes, I'll be around, but
Okay.
it'll feel different.
Right. Okay.
It really hadn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, it won't. It won't.
won't
So
take
many
some
years.
But
Yeah.
doing this every day
Right.
for 43 years,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
quite an accomplishment.
Right.
So
Well-
I rarely took sick time. If
Right.
I had to take sick time right now, it would probably be 2 years worth.
Right.
And
They
so
should pay you
just
for that.
gonna do it. So
I hope they pay you for that.
no.
No.
no, you don't
Well,
get
I
that
would
when you
lose the
leave.
majority of those hours. I
Right.
cannot
Oh, that's
take
too
those.
bad.
That's
Um,
okay. I'm okay with that.
Well, you can call out sick and retire in July. Right.
I just don't think that way.
Okay. I know you don't. You're very
Anyway,
honest.
but thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we have to vote for Scott to take over, right? Right.
Do we get to vote?
Yeah. We can make a recommendation.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
A motion?
Yeah, right. I make a motion to continue with Scott as the director after Marvin retires.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, second. All in favor? All right. Well, on that note, the next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting will be April 11th. Here, the city does not have any items. Will the county have any items, Mr. Wheeler? We don't know. We don't know. To be determined.
Depends on the soil report, right?
To be determined, okay? On that note, it's a recommendation to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Move to adjourn. A second?
I second.
Second? All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. None opposed. Thank you all.